Hey everybody, welcome back to Vegas Tips and Tricks Weekly. It's Vegas 601. Yes, that's our graduate course in Vegasology. And we're not in the studio, and the lighting isn't exactly perfect here. We're actually in the car. It's a long story. I'm not living in my car, so it's okay. Don't worry about it. So we apologize for what may be the not the ideal sorts of visuals today. Well, that isn't too bad. I step kind of back here. So anyway, apologize also for not having a show last week. And hey, we almost didn't have a show this week, but I was very excited about doing this. And so we are going to make this happen today. So much of our show over the years has focused on sort of those introduction to Las Vegas. I guess you might say Vegas 101. But I thought we should talk about some things today that can really positively impact your trips to Las Vegas, and these maybe somewhat more advanced ideas. And, if you're a casual visitor, if you go to Vegas once every 4 or 5 years, this show's probably not for you. But if you're a regular visitor to Las Vegas, like so many of us are, hopefully you'll learn some lessons here today. And some of the lessons we talk about here today don't apply just to Las Vegas, but to travel in general. And we're going to focus in briefly, because it's a 15-minute show, on 3 things that pretty much everybody spends money on in Las Vegas. One is transport to Las Vegas. Typically, that's a flight. Secondly is your hotel room when you get to Las Vegas, and then your gambling budget. And we're going to talk about some ways you can enhance all 3 of those things on the show today. And they don't necessarily involve just Las Vegas. First off, we'll start with your flights. Typically, people fly out of the same airports. And very frequently they fly on the same carriers. That may not be as true for people in really large airports with a number of different carriers. But if you don't fly with the same carrier all the time, I would encourage you to do so. Today's show is really going to focus on, I guess, what you call loyalty programs, and how those loyalty programs can really make a big difference in terms of saving money on your Vegas trips, which of course gives you more money that you can spend gambling or eating or drinking or whatever. So in my case, for example, I typically fly Southwest Airlines. Until very recently, that was out of Kansas City. Now my closest airport is Omaha, and we flew out of there last month when we went to Vegas. And I'll be flying out of there in September as well. There's a few things you can do in addition to just picking an airline. And yes, it is true that sometimes you may be able to find a better deal. If you go through Orbitz or Travelocity or something, sometimes you'll find a good deal. But look at the fine print. A lot of times you may have a layover or 2. You may be flying in the middle of the night. Those are not necessarily the most pleasant things. Also, yes, some airlines will nickel and dime you to death. You may have a very low fare, but then you find out if you even want to carry a bag on, it's going to cost you extra. So I fully expect one of these days an airline's going to start charging you if you actually want to sit down, which kind of seems like an important thing to be able to do. So if it's at all possible, not only stick with the same airline, but also get their branded credit card, because basically every airline, no matter how big or how small, has a branded credit card. And if you can get that, it can be a huge help to you. I've had the Southwest Rapid Rewards credit card for a number of years. I actually have an upgraded version, which some people might not find valuable, but I do. It is not a no annual fee card, and I suspect some of the other airline credit cards are not either. I actually pay $169 a year for the card, but in addition to just having the card, I get a $75 travel credit on Southwest. So after my yearly rollover, the first time I book anything through the airline, I immediately get a $75 credit back. I also get, I think it's 6,000 Rapid Rewards miles a year, which is probably comparable to, again, about $75. It varies, but again, pretty close. I also get 4 upgraded boardings every year. And the way Southwest works, as I'm sure you know, it's kind of a cattle call system. You check in as early as you can, and whoever checks in earliest, it gets to board the plane first. There's no assigned seats. But they've made a lot of changes in recent years. You can purchase an early bird access, and enough people do that now that it's almost impossible to get an A boarding if you don't do that. But they also, if they do not sell out of the business class sort of A1 to A15 boarding positions prior to the flight, they offer those, and they typically run around $40, at least from where I am to Las Vegas. I get 4 of those every year, which saves me the money of the early bird boarding, and it's a great deal. And it saved me numerous times. Maybe we, if I remember the same thing, went from like a late C to like A5 a couple of times. I even got the A1 boarding position once. So yeah, can be a great value for me. And they also send out, free drink tickets, I think 4 of those. So for me, the 169 is a win. I have probably over the course of my life gotten maybe 5 or 6 free flights on Southwest. And, I'm not flying for business or for other purposes typically. So if you do, those Rapid Rewards miles can add up very quickly. And that's just one example. Obviously, the major carriers all are going to have these credit cards. They're all going to have offers like this. So make sure you take a look at that. And again, if you're regularly flying, say, Delta to Las Vegas, you should be in their Rapid Rewards or their mileage program. You should have their credit card, and it can make a big difference. Okay, secondly, we often think about rooms in Las Vegas and how to get free rooms in Las Vegas. We've talked about that a lot, and basically it comes down to gambling. You want to make sure that you're putting out enough, putting enough money at risk so the casino feels like it's worth inviting you back to stay there for free. And, obviously it's going to take a lot less to stay for free at the Flamingo than it is at Aria, for example, or Cosmopolitan. But there's kind of a loophole here. Most all of the major casinos in Las Vegas are also linked to a larger hotel loyalty program. I think MGM is with Hyatt, which is kind of a smaller program. But Caesars is, at least for the moment, linked up with Wyndham Rewards. And Wyndham, they have some great resorts and they have some great timeshares and different products around the world. But Wyndham is probably most known for sort of cheap roadside motels. So if you're the kind of person that does sort of, business travel on the cheap, or, visits friends or family and stays at a Travelodge or a La Quinta or a Days Inn along the way, those are all Wyndham properties. And once again, you can earn points through Wyndham, and we can redeem those points for rooms at Caesars. Another example, their particular credit card had an offer, and I suspect still have something like this, that if you spent $1,000 or charged $1,000 over the first 90 days you had the card, you got, I think, like 50,000 points, which would probably at least give you a couple of nights in Las Vegas just there. So, and they're not the only people that have that. As far as, branded credit cards from the major casinos, I can speak to the Caesars one, which is frankly pretty mediocre. There's, if you spend enough, you can get upgraded to, platinum. And I guess if you spend a ridiculous amount of money, you can get upgraded to diamond. But, it's not so great. I'd really focus my energy on the Wyndham card. If you earn Wyndham diamond, you can transfer that over to Caesars Diamond. And that's very valuable because it cuts out all of the resort fees, which is the big cost really at Caesars. Another credit card that is, I think, extremely valuable, and you should have it if you don't, and particularly if you stay at MGM Properties, is the MGM Rewards credit card. It's a MasterCard. It has no annual fee at all. Neither does the Wyndham card, by the way. The MGM has no annual fee, and it immediately entitles you to free self-parking and allows you to check in on a preferred check-in line that normally you would have to be gold or above. You're also automatically upgraded to Pearl status with MGM, which is nice. You earn points a little faster. You earn a few comps a little bit quicker than you would otherwise. But you absolutely want, if possible, the MGM credit card. So again, we're kind of talking a lot about credit cards, and there's a lot of different credit card rewards programs, and I'm sure a lot of you can correct me and say, oh, wow, you really don't get that much, cash back or that much of a reward from some of those cards that you're talking about. And you're probably right. If you really look at sort of the larger group of sort of travel credit cards out there are probably better deals. But for me anyway, it's kind of valuable to earn those points specifically for use on Southwest Airlines, or specifically for use at a Wyndham hotel or a Caesars property, or to have access to those MGM comps. And you earn tier credits as well through that MGM credit card. So theoretically, if you spend enough money, and you'd have to spend a lot, you could earn gold status, I guess. That would be a lot of charges just through your spend. And that's an important thing to remember as we go into the third part of today's lesson, and that is talking about gambling. We've mentioned many times on the show that there's great value in concentrating your play at the same casino company on a particular day or on a particular trip. That's how they're going to evaluate you. So it's much better to take a day and just spend that day playing at Caesars Properties, or spend a day and just spend that day playing at, say, Boyd Properties, MGM Properties, whatever it might be. And another thing that people tend to forget, and can be valuable, is a lot of these casino reward programs also will track your hotel spend. So if you buy something in the gift shop, if you eat at one of the restaurants in the property, if you purchase drinks at a bar in the property instead of getting them comped, make sure you're getting credit for that, because anymore, as we see less and less people spending huge amounts of money gambling, and the younger folks not so much, they are trying to focus in on some of the other things that people spend money on. And so make sure, again, if you're booking a hotel, even if you're not planning to gamble a lot, that'll help you out a lot in terms of your room rates. But again, as far as the gambling piece of it, there are some other things you can do. It's probably, it'd probably be easier to get a part-time job, but you can still earn a lot of credits over the years playing the My Vegas game. And there's a lot of free play available there. That can be great. I mean, I think on the last trip, I think I had $150 worth of free play, and I think I turned it into somewhere around $120 once it was all said and done. So you really can't beat that. There are going to be occasional room offers that you may get that include hotel, resort credit, and free play. Just make sure you take advantage of that. A lot of times you'll have to specifically go to the Players Club booth in order to have that activated and put on your card. But you can, again, if you are smart about this, and there's people that focus in on all of this tier matching, and that's another whole category we could get into at some point. And some folks have gotten people have gotten so good at it that a lot of the really good tier matches are gone. But anyway, so hopefully today's show kind of gave you an idea of some of the ways that you, as a repeat visitor to Las Vegas, can get there more cheaply, more inexpensively, stay there more inexpensively, and also take advantage of some of the best gambling deals that you can get. All right, we will be back midweek with another casino resort review, and we will be back next week. Next week we will continue our series on Vegas memories, and I think we're up to the year 2017, 18. I'll have to check. But that's coming up this next week. Thank you for joining us. Again, apologize that we didn't have a show last week. Apologize for the lighting conditions here not being exactly the best. But thank you for watching our show today. Thank you for being a supporter of this channel in one way or the other. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do so. And if you have any comments on today's show, if you have anything you'd like to share in terms of some of these sort of advanced graduate school discussions about Las Vegas, please include them in the comments below. Always enjoy reading those and always try to respond. All right, until next time, I hope you have a great, lucky, and healthy week. We'll see you all again real soon. Bye-bye.